Hi everyone, welcome to Project 2. That is finding elegant design among a chaotic series of dots. And so what do I mean by that? Artists are constantly playing with the idea of the accidental. And in working with the accidental and working with chaotic processes, elegance and refinement can occur. And we can't plan for it. It's something we discover. And so that's what this project taps into. So let's get started. I'm going to create a file, new. And let's make that about 10 by 10 inches by 72 dots per inch. And grayscale. Say OK to that. Okay. Next, what we want to do is just throw out a series of dots that are all sizes, all scales. It's important for this exercise that the dots be perfectly round. So let's try with that. Start with that. I'm going to click the elliptical marquee tool, hold down Shift and Alt, and drag diagonally to create a circle here. I want to make sure black is in my foreground color. I'm going to take my paint bucket and just dump it straight in. I'm going to copy this, Control C, or edit copy, and then paste it, Control V. And then I can move it. It's on its own new layer. I can take my free transform tool, which is Control T, and then holding Shift and Alt, transform it quite a bit smaller. So now if I want to copy that size, I can take my wand tool, click right on it. Notice the little marching ants around the outside. Control C and Control V. And every time I say Control V, there's going to be a new dot. Sometimes they get stacked up on one on top of another. So you have to kind of figure out where they went to. That's where they're going right here. So as putting the pinky on V, on Control key, and my index finger on the letter V, I can spit out a bunch of these. Let's say I want another large one. I'll click on that layer, get the wand back. Oops. Have to turn on Auto Select Layer. Hold on. It's on. Use the Move tool, click on it, and then the wand tool. And if I don't have the right layer selected, and I can manually select background. Click on the wand. Now I have my marching ants, copy, paste. I can make this larger too, just a little bit, not too much, by expanding this. So don't be shy, fill up the frame here. And what we're trying to do is arrive at sort of randomness. Of course, it's not totally random. So I'm kind of watching. If I was going to try to make this extremely random, I would have to Control C, Control V, close my eyes here, and I'm not willing to do that. But I'm not thinking about this either too much. So there's that dot is. Just kind of fill up the frame. And each of these is magically appearing. Just when you were feeling frustrated by how hard Photoshop seems, remember we could be doing this with ink on drawing paper, and that would take a bit longer, a bit more of your time, and we wouldn't be able to fit as many projects in. Okay, I'm going to pause right here and go Layer, Flatten Image. It's just off the screen there. And then next step is to take the rectangle marquee tool right there, and I want to click and drag, holding down Shift again and Alt, just Shift, and find myself in instance, Control deselect that one. What happened there? Just hold Shift. Now that's the weirdest thing. Ah, I see what's going on. Some odd things pop up here occasionally. This is feathered 96 pixels, so just make that 0, deselect it. You never know what's going to pop up here in Photoshop. Okay, I'm trying to not make too big a selection, but I don't want to be too shy either. Okay, so now that I have this, I'm going to say Control C, remember it's flat now, Control C, Control N for File New, and it'll build a new file exactly the size of that selection and paste it, and then minimize it, and then just go ahead and move this to a new section here, and think order, simplicity, Control C, Control V, oops, I wanted Control N, and OK to that, and it's going to be exactly the same size, Control V, there it is, and then minimize it. I have this stray thing on top now. I have to toss that layer out, so get rid of it right there, and get rid of the Layers tab. And in that little mess up, I lost my marquee tool, so I'm going to grab it again. I'll take a smaller one this time. Control C, Control N, and Control V. I guess I didn't copy that last one. Let's try that again. Edit, copy. Right here, Control C, edit, edit, File New, I'm sorry. Yep, that's better. And then Control V. There it is. So, the placement of the dot in the frame is all about proportion, balance, creating a sense of tension, of movement, of any number of possibilities that are intuitive and can teach us about design. And it's not something that I had to force. I just submitted to a process here and I found this design. And by not doing a whole lot of thinking, just working intuitively. And that's the main lesson of this. Next, take one of these squares and gang it up maybe in a 4x4 16 box block, and save that as well, and see how repeating it creates some interest as well. Post your individual units, post the multiples, and post the original chaos, and that'll do it for this one. In case you need to remember how I line up 4x4 here, this is simply a matter of, why don't I do this for you? Go into Image, Canvas Size. Oh, before I do that, let me copy this. Control A, select all, Control C. Okay, and then Image, Canvas Size. And increase this by, instead of doing inches, turn this to percent. And put this at 400%. And the height at 400%. Anchor it in the corner. Say OK. Let's zoom out with a Control 0. Good. And then every time I spit a new one out with a Control V, I'll just take this and move it right in, and it'll snap into position here. Okay, and because we increased the canvas size 400% of the original here, it fits perfectly and snaps beautifully, and it doesn't have any problems with spaces or gaps. Nothing's out of square. The circles are perfect circles. The squares are perfect squares. I can copy this down really quickly. If I flatten this image down, I don't have to spit out 12 more of these. I'll just take my wand, click on the black, select similar, copy that, and paste it, and move it. And look at that. I can move bunches of these all at once with just a few keystrokes. Again, remember, we could be doing this, as I have done with students in the past, on drawing paper. And get out your best pens and rulers and compasses, and for this 16-box project, figure on about a 3-hour minimum commitment there. So flatten this, save it, put it in your portfolio, and keep going. Let's see some. See you in the next movie. Take care.